It's time for Recipe of the Day. I'm hoping this isn't going to become one of those behemoth episodes where I talk for 10 minutes, but it could because I'm pretty passionate about turkey and I'm pretty knowledgeable about it. So my parents had restaurants when I was growing up. You probably know that already. They also did a lot of catering, and we have guessed that my parents have probably done over 1,000 catered turkey dinners. And so they are experts, and I was in there with them a lot and I've learned from them a lot. And so I just have a lot of how to roast turkey knowledge. So my mom never brines her turkey, and I haven't really that often. I do sometimes, especially if I'm doing turkey breast. If you want to brine it, there are options within the recipe that I'm linking to, the Cook the Story, How to Roast Turkey Perfectly recipe. There is my amazing best ever brine. There is also the dry brine. So you can go and look at those. But I'm talking about how to do this if you have not brined the turkey. So I'm assuming that you have not brined it. There are instructions in that post for if you do brine it, but I'm talking today as though you haven't. So you're going to have your thawed turkey, 8 to 24 pounds. You're going to take that out of the fridge, remove all the packaging, take the giblets out. I'm not using them in anything today, but you can use them to make stock to use in your gravy. You can put them right in the roasting pan around the turkey. They're going to help flavor the gravy a little bit, or you can toss them. So get the giblets out of there, all the packaging off. Now you're just going to blot the turkey dry with paper towels. Do not rinse it in your sink. All that does is spray bacteria around your kitchen. It bounces off the turkey and goes everywhere. Don't do that. Just blot it dry with paper towels. And then you're not stuffing the inside of the turkey with any stuffing or dressing. That actually makes the turkey take longer to cook, so it's going to dry out more. And also there's been some bacteria issues with stuff in there not cooking fully, so we just don't want to do that. Instead, I will link to my mom's perfect stuffing recipe. It's cooked in muffin tins. It's so adorable and delicious. Do that instead. You can put some things into the cavity of the turkey for extra flavor if you want to. I sometimes do, I sometimes don't. I'm not sure it makes that big of a difference. It looks nice though. So you can go in with an onion roughly chopped, some celery, some carrots, some fresh herbs in there, a little salt and pepper all rubbed around the inside is always a good idea too. Now, you want that turkey to sit at room temperature for about 30 minutes before it's going into the oven, and that just lets it kind of cook more evenly, so it's not like fridge cold when it goes in the oven. So just put it in its roasting pan on a rack in the roasting pan if you have an oven-safe rack that fits in your roasting pan. If not, I use some big uncooked carrots or ribs of celery, even a couple of halved onions under there. It props the turkey up so that the hot air can circulate underneath, and then it cooks more evenly. And just so you know, you're not going to be eating those vegetables. They're just going to be discarded, but they do actually flavor the gravy a little bit down in there, so they're getting put to good use. Okay, you're going to season the turkey all over with salt and pepper. I find the easiest thing to do is to mix up some salt and pepper in a little bowl, 2 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of pepper, and then go from the bowl to the turkey, sprinkling and rubbing. That way I'm not like touching the turkey and then touching my salt container again. So just mix it in the bowl and then sprinkle it all over. So I said 2 teaspoons of salt and a teaspoon of black pepper. That's going to be the right amount for like a 15-pound turkey, give or take. So you do a little bit more if your turkey's bigger, a little bit less if it's less. It's not going to make that big of a difference. You just want a kind of nice, even coating. My mom always says when making roast is you put more seasoning than you think you need, and then you put a little bit more. And that's because, especially if we haven't brined it, we're only seasoning the outside. So all the inside meat is not getting the benefit of that seasoning. So if your outside is a little bit extra salty, that's going to make up for the fact that the inside of the mouthfuls of meat that you're having don't have seasoning. You see what I mean? Okay, you can preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you are doing the ultimate trick that I learned from my mom. You get out a big piece of aluminum foil, and you smear a half cup of softened butter all over one side of that piece of foil. And then what we're doing is we're taking that, inverting it so that the butter is all on the top of the turkey, the breast, it's touching the drumsticks, all of it, and push down on the foil so that it's making contact everywhere on that turkey. What that's going to do, the foil is going to protect the breast meat from the extreme heat in the oven. And it's going to be continually basting it by having that contact with the buttery foil against there. You see? Okay, so once you have that buttered foil on the turkey pressed on all over, the turkey's on the rack in the roasting pan, your oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That whole thing is going into the oven. How long is it in the oven for? That is always the question, right? It's about 11 to 15 minutes per pound, a little bit more for smaller turkeys, a little bit less for larger turkeys. The best thing you can do is to either use a probe thermometer that's safe in the oven that tells you the internal temperature from the outside. That probe is going into the middle middle of the breast or the middle of the thigh, not touching bone. And you want it to get up to 155 degrees Fahrenheit. But just hang on, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. Or you can use an instant read thermometer. You start checking it towards the lower end of that 11 to 15 minute per pound, even at like a 9 minute per pound kind of place. Get a sense of where the temperature is and then check every little while after that. So, like I said, you want it to get up to 155 degrees Fahrenheit. That is not the safe eating temperature, but you're going to take it out and you're going to let it rest for at least half an hour. And then it's going to raise up to the 165 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the safe temperature for eating it. So that's what you're doing. You're roasting it for that time. You're looking at, about 2 hours for an 8-pound turkey, all the way up to like 5.5 hours for a 24-pound turkey. Now, the only other thing you need to know is while it's in there, you're going to baste it once or twice. To do that, take the turkey out of the oven, take the foil off, don't throw it out, and then you're going to use a spoon or a turkey baster to get some of the liquid from the bottom of the pan and sort of spoon it all over the top of the turkey. When it's all covered up, then you put the foil back on and it goes back into the oven. So for a small bird, you'll just do that once, kind of halfway through. For a larger one, you're going to do it twice, about a third and then 2/3 of the way through. The other thing you need to know is that for the last half an hour or so that the turkey's in the oven, you want that foil off completely. So when it gets to around 145 degrees Fahrenheit in there, open up the oven, you take that foil off, and that is when that skin is going to crisp up. I love this. So many times people do a different technique where they roast the turkey uncovered the whole time. Then it's kind of drying out, but the skin is crisping. Then when it gets nice and brown, then they put the foil on. Well, now your crispiness is kind of steaming under that foil. We're doing the opposite. We're doing that sort of nice, gentle steaming, protecting the breast from the heat the whole time, and then just crisping it up at the end. Now, like I said, the amount of time it's in there is kind of imprecise. Every turkey is different depending on the size and the shape. It's just not always the same amount of time. Now, that can really make people upset. They don't know when to plan to have dinner, when to plan to make their other things. I am telling you, plan to rest your turkey for even as much as 45 minutes. It is going to be fine. It's a nice big piece of meat. It holds the heat for a really long time. So then if you know that once you take that turkey out, you have 45 minutes to make the last things, heat up anything you've made ahead, you can relax. You tell people, we're going to be eating at some point between 4 and 5:30. Aim for 4. It might be closer to 5. Doesn't matter. When you take that turkey out of the oven, it's at 155 degrees Fahrenheit. It needs to get up to 165. It's going to rest. That is when you finish everything off. You're going to make your gravy in that time. You're going to boil and mash your potatoes in that time. Reheat those casseroles because now your oven doesn't have the turkey in it. All of that can happen really easy. So you're letting that turkey rest for a good 30 to 45 minutes. That lets all the juices settle so that when you do slice into the turkey, the juices don't go everywhere. And yeah, after the 30 to 45 minutes, you can carve the turkey. I will put a link to how to carve the turkey. I will put a link to how to make gravy as well, because that is something that you need to know how to do. I cannot wait for you to try this method for roasting turkey. It really is the best. My mom knows what she's doing. You are going to love it. I will, of course, put the link to how to roast turkey this way in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date. So it's helpful to know that today is November 3rd of 2024. And I just want to remind you that if you make this recipe and love it, or if you have made any of the recipes from cookthestory.com or from my other site, thecookful.com, and you've loved them, I would really appreciate it if you would go back and leave a comment letting me know that you made them, what you did, what you liked, and also doing the 5-star rating. When you do a 5-star rating on those recipes, it really helps me grow my business, and it lets other people know that you love the recipes, brings more people to the site because they see those stars when they're searching for recipes on Google. So it really helps me out a lot, and I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much to those of you who have already done it. I know you're out there. I love your comments. Thank you. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.